that fucking Meghan Markle special, and it sobered me right up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
something
Maureen.
killed your vibe.
Did you watch all episodes of this?
No. I will go hard in the paint when it's necessary.
Yeah.
So I woke up at 5 a.m. when it dropped. It dropped 3 a.m. to begin streaming it. And Megyn, within 10 minutes, I fell asleep.
It was so boring.
It's like I would sooner you really offend me or just like, I love a bad watch. I love a good bad watch. This is not that. This is really grueling to get through.
I spent the entire morning subjecting myself to the absolute endurance test that is Meghan Markle's latest Netflix special, and let me tell you, it sobered me right up from whatever optimism I had about the state of modern celebrity culture. It was a visceral experience, the kind that kills your vibe instantly and leaves you questioning why you possess eyes and ears. I didn't just dip a toe in, I went hard in the paint, because sometimes you have to suffer for the sake of commentary. I woke up at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m. right after it dropped at 3 a.m. to begin streaming it, armed with coffee and a hope for entertainment. But within 10 minutes, I had fallen back asleep. It wasn't just bad. It was boring on a cellular level. You see, I can handle offensive content. I can handle a hate watch. I love a good bad watch, the kind of train wreck you can't look away from because it's so chaotic. This is not that. This is grueling. It is a slow, agonizing march through a beige landscape of curated narcissism that feels less like a TV show and more like a cinematic cry for validation masquerading as female empowerment.
She is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. My castle is too small. Yeah. The queen is mean to me. They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends, while she never stops whining. And at the same time, I'm getting all worked up. I'm a founder. I'm over it. She's not important. She married for money. It's very clear. She bagged the elephant. She was thrilled. She became a, quote, princess.
Well, you can...
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex.
There comes a specific moment in every failed public relations campaign when authenticity dies under the crushing weight of its own performance, and this show might just be the tombstone for that concept. It is not merely awkward. It is a desperate, clawing attempt to control a narrative that the public lost interest in 3 years ago. We are unraveling the deeper truth behind Meghan's carefully curated world here, and by the time we are done dissecting this, you will understand why the word relatable may never mean the same thing again. I force myself through episodes 1, 2, and 8, skipping around to fill in the blanks of this hagiography, but the narrative remains consistent throughout. Utter delusion. The killer moment for me, the one that is currently setting the internet on fire, was the Mindy Kaling episode. But before we even get to the disaster that was the Kaling interaction, we have to talk about the opening salvo in episode 1 featuring her makeup artist, Daniel.
There is no question that she and Harry bullied that queen in the last 2 years of her life and accelerated her death, in my view. Why would she go on with Oprah and try to say the royal family are a bunch of racists while Prince Philip was dying in the hospital and Queen Elizabeth was not too far behind him? She didn't care. Look what she did to her own dad, disowning him after all the heart attacks. Her stepsister, who she has absolutely no kindness for, no empathy whatsoever. The dad disowning him because he didn't know how to handle the paparazzi when he was like a regular civilian who got thrust into royal life. She has ostracized or bullied everybody in her orbit from the beginning of time, as far as we can tell, while always elevating herself into, even before this, princess status. So I have absolutely no quarter for her, and I wasn't surprised to see how callous she was. It's who
dynamic set the stage for everything that was to wrong come. Daniel is introduced not just as an employee, but as Uncle Daniel, a man so close to the family that he is practically blood. They want us to believe this is a deep, soulful connection. But then the mask slips. There is a moment where Daniel, in a fit of nostalgia, mentions her wedding cake. He says, "Oh, that reminds me of your wedding cake. I tasted your wedding cake." And immediately, the record scratches. That is a weird thing to say. Who talks about tasting a wedding cake unless that was their only interaction with it? It soon became painfully clear that Uncle Daniel, this beloved family member, went to the tasting to try the cake, but was not actually invited to the wedding itself. He didn't make the cut for the big day, but here he is, being paraded around as a prop to showcase Meghan's down-to-earth relationships with her staff. It highlights the transactional nature of her entire existence. He had to be nice to her. She was paying him. Then she launches into this "remember when" monologue, talking about how she was lost in the wilderness of fame, a simple woman of the people who only had a high-powered agent but no PR team, calling Daniel to ask, "What's hot? What's on trend?" We are supposed to relate to her struggles of having only a top-tier agent and a personal makeup artist to consult on trends, all while she relegates this dear friend to the sidelines of her actual life. It is the first crack in the porcelain facade, proving that everyone in her orbit is there to serve a function, not to share a life. Then we arrive at the Mindy Kaling catastrophe. This episode was a study in psychological warfare disguised as a friendly chat. Mindy is not a lifelong friend. They met on Megyn's podcast, Archetypes, maybe 2 years ago. This is an industry acquaintance at best, and the lack of chemistry was palpable. You could see the awkwardness radiating off the screen like heat lines on pavement. The show, titled With Love, was clearly meant to humanize Megyn, to show her as the grounded woman next door who just happens to be a duchess. We are meant to see her picking berries in crisp white cashmere, sipping tea beside a hand-built chicken picnic table, and laughing in soft focus lighting. But here's the thing about trying too hard. When every single detail is curated, even the imperfections become an act. The laughter sounds rehearsed, the friendships feel contractual, and the authentic home is so sterile it feels allergic to human fingerprints. This isn't intimacy, it is aggressive image management. What is most disturbing isn't how fake it looks, but how desperately it wants to be believed. The introduction of Mindy was like a bad 70s sitcom opening, freeze framing on her with a caption reading, "Actress, producer, friend," in all caps, as if we don't know who Mindy Kaling is. Mindy enters the scene doing the absolute most. She is wearing heavy makeup, dripping in gold jewelry, rocking a Valentino denim ensemble that screams Hollywood wealth. She is loud, garish, and trying very hard. And she is immediately put on the back foot because Megyn is there in her quiet luxury costume. Megyn is wearing an entirely white cashmere outfit in the kitchen, a visual juxtaposition meant to make Mindy look try-hard and Megyn look effortlessly chic. The fashion conversation that ensues is a masterclass in passive-aggressive superiority. Mindy, trying to be polite, asks Megyn to break down her ensemble. Megyn plays the "who me?" card, claiming she's just wearing Zara pants, a woman of the people move. But Mindy calls her bluff. It turns out to be a Loro Piana sweater, which has a base price of around $1,300, layered with a Jenny Kane sweater priced at nearly $400. She is wearing a mortgage payment on her torso while pretending to be casual. Then Mindy makes the fatal mistake of praising a malignant narcissist too directly. She tells Megyn, "Your fashion is one of my favorite things about you. I see you in something," and run to the Max Mara website, and it's sold out. You can see the mixture of emotions on Megyn's face. Utter disdain for the compliment, contempt for the idea that she is being copied, followed immediately by a mask of false humility. She acts confused, like she doesn't understand the concept of her own influence. My look, she stammers, pretending she doesn't know what the word look means in a fashion context. I'm way cooler than I am? I don't know what you're talking about. It was awkward AF. I began to feel genuine sympathy for Mindy Kaling because she was doing such a heavy lift, trying to carry a conversation with someone who refuses to acknowledge reality. Watching this play out, you realize that Meghan Markle likely has no real friends. She is perhaps the most insecure person in the public eye, creating a show where every frame screams, "See, I'm just like you," while reminding us she is nothing like us. How many of us call our makeup artist family, while reminding them they weren't invited to the wedding? How many of us preach simplicity in $1,300 sweaters? The show doesn't reflect humility. It imitates it like an AI trained on influencer sincerity, and the result is the uncanny valley of human behavior. This isn't just about a bad Netflix show. It is about the collapse of celebrity illusion in real time. Megyn represents a new kind of royal, not one born into fantasy, but one who built hers from scratch and still cannot stop polishing it. The absurdity reaches its peak in the garden scenes. Everything has to be over-the-top perfect. Who on earth picks berries in a white cashmere blouse and white pants? Literally no one. It is a flex. It says, "I am so rich and so removed from the actual labor of gardening that I do not fear stains." The garden itself is the size of a baseball stadium, filled with raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, and edible flowers. She tells the audience, "Don't worry, you can grow these on your windowsill in New York," which is a level of delusion that borders on insulting. She tells us to just contact our local beekeeper if we need help. I googled local beekeeper just for kicks, and the only results were exterminators who will come to your house to kill bees. We are living in different worlds. And then the piece de resistance, the chicken coop. She doesn't just have chickens, she has a picnic table. A miniature picnic table for chickens. She brings out a thick disc of ice filled with frozen organic vegetables to feed them so their yolks will be golden and nutritious. The camera pans to this tiny table that looks like dollhouse furniture, and she says, "Don't laugh at me. That's my picnic table." In this economy, it is tone deafness weaponized as whimsy. The artificiality extends to every interaction. Another guest, a woman from Argentina who is the wife of Harry's polo friend, shows up. Again, not a real friend, just a connection through her husband. Megyn makes organic biscuits for the dog, ensuring us that she is mixing the bacon in just so. It exposes the emotional bankruptcy of performative perfection.